Hi, everyone. Coach Chris from the ACA Academy. Last week's meeting was actually not recorded somehow. There was a glitch at Zoom. Only the first couple of minutes got recorded. So this is a recreation. I'm going to talk about a couple of things. One is the North American Conference. It is in July, and honestly, one of the best ones. I was there last year. I've actually gone like 3 or 4 years in a row now. And it is a great conference that's small, intimate, and you're not going to feel like you're lost in a crowd of thousands of people. In fact, it's only about 100 to 120. It's in Texas in July, but hey, the air conditioning works well at the hotel. So it's the screen I'm showing you at na-insurance.com. If you go to their website all the way to the right, you'll see the word conference. Click on that. And you can see who our MC is going to be. It's been around the insurance industry a long time. There's different sponsors. They're going to be showing those. The agenda will be arriving any day now. But right now, the tickets are the cheapest they're going to be. So it's held at the Omni Hotel in Frisco. But there are 2 hotels that are literally like a block from each other from that are less expensive if the Omni seems to be pricey. It's a great more intimate. Last year, we got to sit in round tables with each other and explore other people's way of doing things. This is a great way to connect with people. You're going to talk to them and see them and then find out, hey, we're neighbors in states, so we can work with each other. There was even the vendors, so the sponsors, the different insurance companies, they get to come in and sit in these tables and understand our side as agents and brokers, and we get to hear them and we get to be personal with them. So if you click on get tickets, the rate's going to go up at the end of this month. So right now is the perfect time to get them. Conference tickets are either $99 or $199, depending on what you want. The $99 gets you your basic convention, the tickets to get in, your dinner, your lunch, and just the bingo card, meeting the vendors. The VIP one, though, gets you into 2 different VIP parties, as well as a tour of the Cowboys training facility, which I have been on, and I found it rather interesting. And if I live in Wisconsin and can go to the Cowboy Stadium, you can too. The best thing is North American has given me permission to get anybody who buys their ticket, say I sent it to you, and let me know, they will give you 50% off. So they'll reimburse you. They're not gonna, there's no coupon. You just need to buy your ticket, let me know, and I'll have them reimburse you that 50%. It's only for the next couple of weeks through the end of March. The tickets will be on sale all the way up until the last day. The conference is July 15th through the 16th. All right, so that's the information I have to share about that conference. It's a small, intimate one. It's not just Medicare. It's not just any particular thing. It's actually a great combination of both Medicare, ACA, and they'll also talk about life insurance. There'll be some things on how to make your business better, as well as how to maybe some of the new rules and regulations that are coming, particularly on the Medicare side. Any questions, you can certainly send me an email. The next thing I want to talk about was the consent forms. Now, there's 2 different forms that CMS is requiring. One is consent to basically be their agent. It's consent to find them, to search for their application. It's consent to actually enroll them. So you don't need consent to talk to them. You don't need consent to contact them. You don't need consent to run them quick quotes. If somebody is pushing back and they don't seem like they want to give you all the information and they're like, whoa, wait a minute, what am I signing? That's fine. Run a quote for them. Say, okay, I'm just going to run you a quote. And when they go, oh, well, yeah, that's totally doable. That's what I want to do. You can say, all right, before I can enroll you, I need your consent. And then send them the documentation for them to sign. So that's the first one, is the consent form. The second one is the attestation form. So the attestation is one that you're going to have to do every year. Consent, we actually only need once. So the 2 things to make sure they understand on the consent is that you're now their agent and they're giving you permission to represent them. And you have to tell them how they can rescind consent. So we wrote on ours by verbal or written. You can do it however you want, but you need to tell them how they can rescind that consent. We also added to our consent permission to adjust their application throughout the year as requested. So that way, when that client emails you and goes, oh, I need to increase my income by $10,000, you've got that consent to do that without having to ask for consent again. Remember, the purpose of this is not to catch us. It's to give us protection, and it's to protect the client. We're just getting consent to do what the client wants us to do. And if you're ethical above board, you're not going to have an issue. If you keep track of everything you do, keep track of your emails, record your phone calls, you don't have to worry about it. If you have an email from your client requesting you to change their income, that's kind of consent, right? They've asked you to, but keep that email, attach it to your CRM. Make sure that it's easily found if somebody does do an audit and they're like, well, so-and-so doesn't think you should have. And you go, oh, here's this email. Oh, okay. And it may not even be your client that's saying that. You might just be getting an audit and they randomly pick somebody going, why was their income changed in the middle of the year? You need to have proof that they asked you to and that you had their permission. Does that make sense? I'm going to show you a website that we use. It's been kind of brilliant. When everybody was looking for that mad dash of, oh no, how do we do consent? I found this company. It is HIPAA compliant, hence why I like it. It was actually created for doctors, so it's safe. So we use it for more than just consent. We're using it for consent. We're using it for our attestations. We're also using it for basically our intake forms, which, you know, those have to be secure. So we're using it for everything that we can. I will show you. Share my screen. All right. This is Form Doctor. So it's formdoctordr.com, formdr.com. In here, when we set an appointment, the receptionist can come in here, they type the name of the person in here, they select the form to send them, and they can send it to them by email or by text or both. And then they can put the date of the appointment. It's awesome. We hit send forms, and then it will show if they've opened it. If they haven't opened it, you can resend it, like, oh, okay, they opened it, but they haven't finished filling it out. You can just click resend, and it keeps all of our documents in the safe and secure place. Now, you can make as many packets and forms as you want. So we made a bunch of individual forms. So a medical intake form, the fillable income document, new prescriptions, the marketplace attestations, and then we did some self-renewal forms. So you can make as many independent forms as you want, and then you can combine them into packets. So for us, a brand new person, we send them the intake packet, and it looks like this. So here's the fillable intake form. Their name, date of birth, marital status, social security number, all of that information that we need, their address, email, a basis of their estimated gross income, how many children, and then a place to add the children. Do they prefer phone or text or email method of communication? What network do they want to see? We ask them how they heard about us. And then we also have some of the other things. Are you interested in? And then a blank space for them to tell us anything they need, such as I'm in the middle of surgery, or I need pre-approval for some weird medication, anything they're concerned about. Then the next form is the prescription form. They can put the name of, again, the name will autofill from previous, but they can list each medication, the type, quality, are they willing to change pharmacies, and any other information they'd like to share. Then we have our fillable income document. Years at what year of the income is, because we had this for open enrollment, family name, their estimated household income, line item, it can be listed. Here's all the lists that they see on the marketplace, and they can say self or spouse, and it totals it up. And again, any extra information they want to know. And then here's the consent form. So right there. So even before we talk to them, we get their consent. Responding to inquiries for the marketplace regarding my marketplace application, providing ongoing account maintenance and enrollment assistance as necessary. Search for an existing application, and this is completing the application and enrollment. So those are the things that are on that consent form. They type their name and they finger sign it, and then they just submit it to us, and we get the whole kit and caboodle. We have had pretty much nobody say that they can't do that or won't do that. We've seen it sometimes in person, and you've handed it to somebody and they start going, whoa, why am I filling all this information out? I'm just here for a quote. Okay, we tell them we need the basics information. We need who you are and your date of birth and where you live in order to even do this, as far as and your estimated income. But you don't have to sign anything else until we're ready to enroll you. And that's been a very few people that have done that. So for the most part, we have no pushback. So it's formdoctor.com. Now, FormDoctor, because I was loving it so much and I was sharing it with everybody, FormDoctor contacted me and said, we keep hearing your name. And so we're going to make a coupon. So if you would like to go to formdoctor.com and get a 10% off coupon, the coupon's name is Chris George. They told me they weren't very creative. So it's KRISGEORGE, one word, Chris, KRIS, George, GEORGE, and that will give you 10% off. The forms that I just showed you, the intake forms, the income intake, and prescription and consent forms are already on there. They took our forms and made those into templates. So you can just download those templates into your account and then tweak them, add your logo, do whatever it is you want for your forms. It's kind of nice. So if you're interested, you can go to formdoctor.com and sign up. The second thing that we need to do is the attestation. So that's just the consent and intake form. Again, you only have to get the consent once. Personally, I probably will get it every year just to be safe. But the other thing is the attestation form. So the attestation is what you need to read when you're enrolling somebody, whether you're on the phone, whether you're on Zoom, or whether you're in person. Now, in person, we have physical copies of the attestations, and we have them sign it in our office. If we're on the phone or Zoom, you have to record it. So you need to read each one of these attestations and have them say they agree or disagree or they understand. So these are the things that are at the end of the application, explaining that you understand you're not eligible for premium tax credits. If you're found eligible for other coverage, these should be pretty familiar. You should probably have them pretty close to being memorized. So just record those. You'll have to do that every year. Now, we have lots of clients that have been around for a long time, and I always read these. I just emailed them these attestations when I sent them quotes for their next year, and they signed them back up and told me which plan they wanted. So you're going to have to get it every year. It's pretty easy. And again, they can agree, disagree, sign the name, and they sign. And now we have proof on here. We also download it and put it in our CRM, connected to each person. And this way you're protected, they're protected. Because remember, the biggest thing, the reason that this whole thing happened is because of this line right here. It says, I understand that when I file my 2024 federal income tax return, the IRS will compare the income on my tax return with the income on my application. I understand that if my income on my tax return is lower than the amount of income on my application, I may be eligible to get some additional premium tax credits. On the other hand, if the income on my tax return is higher than the amount of the income on my application, I may owe additional federal taxes, income tax. This is what is causing all the ruckus. The unscrupulous and unethical agents that are just signing people up are not telling them this. They're enrolling them at the lowest dollar amount possible, pretty much at the 100% to federal poverty level. And then in very tiny small print, it says it's up to you to update your income. People aren't reading that. They're not seeing that. They're not understanding this because an agent didn't actually talk to them. And that tax time came and they've had to pay back thousands. So this is as a good agent, as a heart-centered agent, to make sure they understand the reason we want to know their income is to put it as close as possible. So that's the two CMS regulations as of right now. It could change, and I suspect they'll get more and more. But remember, this is a government thing. They don't move fast. In fact, we don't want them to move fast, because if they move too fast, we'll have too many regulations. Don't lose faith. You may be losing some clients. You may have to fight for them, and they've been back and forth, stolen and not stolen, and it's frustrating, and I get that. But it is working. CMS is shutting down some shops. Particularly, contact your state. So contact CMS, let them know, because they can remove their marketplace that they went through and finished the marketplace training, but call your state. The question that came up during the Zoom meeting was, well, what if the agent lives in one state and the client's in a different state? Report them to both, right? Because if I report somebody from California who's in Wisconsin, licensed for Wisconsin, I'm going to report them in Wisconsin. And Wisconsin's going to go, well, you're not allowed to sell in Wisconsin anymore. And then I'm also going to report them in California. So report them to both states. Make sure the client is on board with this. Don't report without the client saying, yes, I will help get their signature, help them fill out a form to report this, because it can't just be you saying somebody took them. Your client has to back that up. And that's it for today. It was a relatively short live meeting as well. So I hope you enjoyed this. Reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm Chris, Coach Chris from the ACA Academy.